Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Stephanie, part of the coaching team here at Nitrogen, joined by my fantastic teammate, Chris. I'm coming at you from the East Coast, and Chris is on the West Coast. So, literally coast to coast with y'all today. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Oh, excited to be here, Stephanie. Excited to be talking about the things that we're talking about today. So we should just get right into it.
Absolutely. Let's jump in. To make sure you're in the right place, we're going to be talking about Legacy Center inside of Nitrogen today. How to use it, why to use it, all the good things that are there. So, let's jump into just some housekeeping, some session details. You'll see those on the left there. Everybody's going to be muted, but we do want to hear from you and we want to engage with you. Ask questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of Zoom. Drop a comment in chat if you'd like to. And then we'll have some resources for you in Zoom. There may be a little button that says more, and then you can find resources. But again, just check the bottom panel at Zoom there to look for all of those goodies. And definitely be sure to engage with us throughout some polls. We do have the chat that's open, but we'll be launching some polls. Speaking of which, we'll launch our first one now before we get into all of the content. We just want to hear from those of you joining us today. How often do you bring up estate or legacy planning conversations with your clients or prospects? So we'll leave that up for a couple of seconds. Feel free to drop a response in there, and we'll kind of see where everybody falls in terms of how often you're bringing this stuff up. But with that estate planning in mind, Chris, I'll pass it over to you to get us started with kind of what we're solving for with Legacy Center.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for taking some time to fill out that poll for us. We sure appreciate your feedback and contributing here and letting us know how this lands for you. But yeah, what are we doing? What's the problem that we're trying to solve as we've introduced Legacy Center as part of Nitrogen here? Well, it's probably not brand new news to anybody on the call today, but just a reminder of talking about this great wealth transfer that's happening. It's been happening. We've been talking about this for a few years now. Basically, something around the world of $84 trillion moving to the next generation over the next 2 decades. And as we're looking at this, we're thinking as the lens that we're looking at, maybe the real risk for advisors isn't necessarily the market, but it's the relationship. How are we forming those relationships with those next generation? When the client passes, those assets tend to follow whoever the beneficiaries already know. So again, it's kind of not what you know, but who you know. And a lot of advisors, as we've been looking around and we look at industry trends and surveys, have never really formally introduced themselves to their clients' beneficiaries. And we're seeing a gap there. And actually, taking a look at a 2026 Natixis Investment Managers study, it found that nearly half of people expecting to inherit wealth say that they don't plan to keep their parents' advisors. A gap is there. And fewer than half of advisors feel like they really have a plan for what's going to happen when that money transfers to that next generation. There we go, another gap. Taking a look at the broader picture here, the data shows that traditional relationship models are failing to captivate younger generations. And according to reporting on the study by platforms like Barron's and Investments News, younger inheritors are actively looking for advisors who support different asset classes, such as private markets and digital assets, and offer digital first interactions. So, again, a little bit of a gap there. So, how are we helping to solve that, especially with that digital first interaction? We're going to show you something a little bit later on called Legacy Key. Stephanie's going to take us through that. We're really excited at how that fits here in the whole Legacy Center. But we're not talking about an estate planning problem, this relationship infrastructure problem, and that's what that legacy center is built to solve. So every client has a legacy here. The advisor, you've been helping them build this legacy over their lifetime. These estate talks, their retention talks. How are we keeping that inherited money, all of that inside of our practice right now, engaging with those relationships that are going to carry on to the next generation? And for those that are using Nitrogen Complete Legacy Center, it's already there in your plan. So we've got it there ready to go for you. So as we're talking about all of this, Stephanie, can you just take us through What is this legacy center that we're hyping up right now? What all does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at what it is. And like Chris mentioned, it's included with Nitrogen Complete. But even if you don't have Nitrogen Complete, you can always add it on to your subscription. So what does it include? This is our new tool for mapping a client's full estate and building intentional relationships with the next generations, just like Chris mentioned. So within Legacy Center, you'll get tools like Legacy Map, Legacy Keys, those branded emails to reach out to beneficiaries and make those introductions really smoothly, really seamlessly, and some reporting elements. So we'll show those all to you today, so you can kind of understand what they are, how you can use them, where you can find them. So yeah, super excited to dive in. And let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear from you again. If you have a client in mind that you'd want to start this legacy conversation with, even just mentioning their first name in chat, drop it in there. Like these are the exact folks that we're building Legacy Center for so that we can equip you to talk to these clients that you have in mind. So hopefully one or more people come to mind that you're working with presently, that you want to have these estate planning conversations with, introduce yourself to the next generation. All of that can be accomplished with Legacy Center. So with that, Chris, let's get into the platform and dive in. And look at all the good stuff that's in Legacy Center right now, starting out with Legacy Map. I'll kick it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to start going through nitrogen and what it looks like here. And when we like to say nitrogen, helping advisors show off the value of your advice. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. You've helped the client build a lifetime around this financial plan, around how they're accumulating their wealth, how they're going to use it in their retirement years. But now, how do we take it again to that next step, looking at our beneficiaries and helping map out for them, not just maybe on the back of a napkin or on a legal pad. We've got something scratched out of a map of where it goes, but how are we using what's in nitrogen here and things that we can add into nitrogen to help show what that legacy looks like, mapping all of that out for you. So as we're here in nitrogen, using a colleague's account here, Mike Betts, one of our fellow coworkers here, he's got a really nice example for us. So we're going to jump in here. We're going to go to Linda and let's see, Linda and Gary or Larry Lagasse. I love this, Stephanie. This is a great take on it. We're going to go to them just like a cooking show here. What it looks like before we've put everything together, and then we'll look at an example of how it all comes together. So a blank profile here, but where you're looking for Legacy Center is right over here. Is this tab here, and I'm going to click on that now because I don't have any portfolio information entered in them for them at all. This is going to say, hey, in order to build out this legacy map, we're going to need a portfolio first because we're going to be pulling those accounts from that portfolio in here to see how that is going to outlast our client, who that's going to go to. And then we can add some other things as well, like insurance policies and a trust, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the first thing to get started, if we don't already have a portfolio for them, we're going to build that out first. And Nitrogen will walk you through and say, hey, here's the first thing that we need in order to get this started. Now I'm going to go to another profile that I have for Linda and Larry here. And we're going to go to their active profile here to say, all right, here's where it is now built out a little bit more. We've got a portfolio in for them. We've got a retirement map, even a proposal if we wanted to work that up for them. But I'm going to go over to Legacy Center now, and we're going to see what that looks like as it's built out, as we have assets in here, as we have our beneficiaries entered in. And you'll see at the very top up here, almost like just an overview of everything that we have in here for right now. I'm going to start with this box right over here. We've got their projected estate value, looking at everything we've got entered in for them here. If I drop this down here, if I wanted to look at their current estate value right now, I can go back and forth from current estate value again to projected estate value. I'll just leave it on current right now, but want to know that let you know that that's what you can do. We can see the number of accounts that we have in here, the trust that we have entered in, how many beneficiaries. Again, this is just at a glance kind of what we have here for our overall map, our life insurance policies over here on the right. Now, if we look at our overall estate here, we've got different sections that we can see here with the overall estate, how that breaks down. I can go over almost our little pie chart here of the estate and how it breaks down, the dollar amounts, etc. There, we can see the percentage of what that makes up in the estate. I could click on maybe just the insurance, the Bright House VUL right here, and see what that is, and I can see who that's going to. Right now, I'm looking at source of funds. If I drop this down, I could look at the beneficiaries and take a quick glance, like who's getting what, where is that going, clicking on these individuals so I can see, like for this one, for instance, we've got Linda is going to be the main beneficiary here of that Fidelity 401k. Again, going down through the list here, either by beneficiary or again by the source of funds. So speaking of beneficiaries, where the heck do those people come in? Where does that play into our list here? If I keep scrolling down here, I can see that I've got my tab here where it has my beneficiaries. This is where I would enter those in. And I can see my list of folks here under the list of beneficiaries. I've got an option to add a beneficiary right here. If I clicked on that, you can see that it is either a person or I could add in an organization. So for instance, maybe there's a nonprofit that we have some of our money designated for after the client passes on. We could choose to have that as one of our beneficiaries there. If it's a person, if it's a current client that's already in Nitrogen, I could search from clients that I have entered, or I could just enter a brand new name here, first, last name, month of birth, or date of birth, relationship to the client. We've got a drop down, so we've got options here. If none of them fit, we have other that we could choose if it's none of the above there. And we also have an email that's optional. Now the email is going to play in here in just a little bit when we talk about legacy keys. So just keep that in the back of your mind there, and then we can go ahead and add that beneficiary to our list of beneficiaries right there. Anytime I need to delete or edit those, I've got those options here on the side to go ahead and work with the beneficiaries there. Now, moving over to my next tab here, accounts and trusts. Those accounts that I've already got inside of that portfolio, those are going to flow into this tab. If I want to add a trust here, I can do that by clicking on this add trust here. And then I can choose when I'm adding a trust, for instance, I can choose, hey, do not use these accounts for retirement income. So that is something where if we want to put that outside of those retirement calculations, we can do that. Just a quick heads up, life insurance are already removed from those retirement income calculations. If you ever have a question here, whenever you see one of these little question mark things here, you can scroll your cursor over that and we'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with that, just to give you a little bit more context when we're working inside of Nitrogen. So I could name the trust, I can add these things to the trust as I see fit. And then as I have my accounts down here, you can see that with my accounts, on each account, I have all of my beneficiaries listed here, and I can designate what part of this account is going in percentages to whom. So we can see, again, helping them map out and help them visually see, okay, all of this we've spent our lifetime building out. Now, how are we going to designate this out in percentages to our beneficiaries? So we're keeping it pretty simple. In this particular instance, Linda's 401k, Lewis is going to get 100% of that. Again, each of these accounts, if I have account in the portfolio that's feeding over, if I want to assign those to the trust, I can. Again, seeing how it's designated to our beneficiaries here from those individual accounts. So as we scroll down there, we see how all of that plays out. And then finally, when it comes to those insurance conversations, those life insurance policies, what does that look like? I can come over here and I can add policies in here. So again, just as easy as clicking on add policy, name the policy, what's the death benefit to that policy and then just clicking add policy here, and that will add it into this section. And again, like we saw on the other tab there, who is going to be the beneficiary of this? And we can make those designations here under the life insurance policies, edit those at any point that we see fit. So when we're creating that legacy map, again, helping them see visually everything that we've spent our lifetime building, listing it all out here, looking at our total estate, breaking it down to those individuals' accounts inside of those estates, and then seeing, again, adding those beneficiaries and seeing where that goes between these different accounts and trusts and even those insurance policies, whether it's an individual, whether it's an organization. This is how we're helping map all of those out. Now, with all that being said, we've got it all here. The client sees it, they understand it. Maybe there's some things that they want to change and say, oh, actually, now that I see how this is all laid out, I actually do need to switch up some of the percentages there or the designations where that goes. Maybe we do have, oh, I haven't thought about, maybe I do have some money left over there where I do have a nonprofit, I do have an organization that I want to be generous with after I've passed on. Let's have them start to think about that. So having those conversations. And then for Linda and Larry here, who does this go to? You've told us who you want these to go to, but we need to let them know that. And we need to let them know what that looks like and how do we get a hold of them. So those are some other conversations that we want to have. And that's where we're going to get to that digital first interaction with Legacy Key. So Stephanie, I'm going to hand that over to you here in just a little bit. But before we do that, I want to launch a quick poll here. And just want to just know here, what's your biggest challenge with the legacy conversation? So as we're having those conversations, are we having a chance to bring those up? Are we having a chance to have those conversations together? What does that look like? So what's your biggest challenge in having those legacy conversations? So we're going to go ahead and launch that poll right now, and then we'll find out about that. But Stephanie, what's when it comes to having the legacy key here, why don't you walk us through that about letting that next generation know?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for walking us through that legacy map to start with. So exactly right. If you've given this client the picture, you've seen how everything is sliced and diced, they have that peace of mind. And now they've given you the okay to reach out to beneficiaries and things like that. You can scroll down to the bottom of the legacy map where that beneficiary list was. And then you may see options that pop up next to individuals that say send legacy key. So for Larry over there, if you see send legacy key, you can click on that. And this is where you can create that email message to reach out to Larry. In this case, maybe you're reaching out to a spouse or a child or another relation to the individual that you currently advise. So we have a message there. We plug in the email addresses for you. You can edit that message. You can CC other people, maybe at your firm or other family members or the client themselves. Um, so there's a lot that you can customize here for the legacy key. And then you can choose at the bottom to share this link or preview it or preview the email. So if we go ahead and click on preview email, that will give you one more screen that shows you what Larry, as the recipient of your message, would be getting. So it's going to have your name and office information, and they're going to have that button in the legacy key that says get in touch. So again, it's digital first, it's easy, it's mobile friendly. You can reach out to beneficiaries of your clients and create that connection with them, to introduce yourself, and they can then follow up and get in touch with you really easily and really simply. So that's legacy key. And again, it gives your clients peace of mind that their beneficiaries have someone that they can contact and get the vital information that they might need, down the road. And then creates that relationship opportunity for you as well to nurture that relationship with those beneficiaries. So really simple and straightforward. Again, you can select a beneficiary, you can customize your message, you can send this email right from inside of Nitrogen, and it'll be branded with your name as the advisor and your firm name. And then everybody's approvals are on board. You create that messaging, and you reach out to them, and then they can follow up with you. So you're able to kind of initiate that contact really easily. I mean, it's so simple. We try to make things simple and not overly complicated in Nitrogen. So I love what the team has put together here with Legacy Key. Just a couple of clicks, then you have a message going out to get in touch with those individuals. So now that next generation has your name, has your contact info, and those connections have been created. So again, thanks to those who've interacted with our polls, we'll kind of get some chat engagement going as well. Um, would you feel comfortable walking a client through this process in your next review meeting? So just drop in the chat, yes, maybe, not yet. We'd love to just kind of hear what you think. Maybe, anybody who says not yet, that's okay. We're here to make sure that you're feeling a lot more comfortable if you have Legacy Center as a part of your Nitrogen access. So thanks again for dropping those messages in chat. We love to kind of see and get a read from everybody who's attending. So, Chris, anything that you would add on Legacy Key? Again, it's so simple,
Hmm.
but anything you'd add
Yeah.
before you take us through giving clients deliverables with Legacy Center?
Yeah, Stephanie, I'll echo what you said. The simplicity of it is, I think, one of the key features of it, but it's something that the client can also speak into that messaging. So maybe you want to review that with the client, and the client can just say, "Hey, it's that warm introduction to that next generation." And we like to say it's something very simple and visual, and it earns a place in the keep folder. So it's not something that just gets sent off to the side there, but it's something that those beneficiaries can hang on to. And like they said, there is now a path towards you now as their advisor to keep that because this client is like, hey, they're probably going to need help like I needed help. This is my trusted advisor. This is who you should talk to. So absolutely love that. Now, when we've gone through all of this, perhaps there's a deliverable that we want to give the client or something that we want to have a hard copy of this. Well, that's where this report element, this legacy map report element comes into play here. So I'm going to show you quickly here underneath our create report and report builder here where that lives. So using reports builder, I'm going to go in here and we've got our option to build out one. Now I'm going to use just our simple one pager portfolio snapshot here. And then up here for our elements, I will add an element to this report. And if we just start to type in legacy, we'll see that legacy map is one of our elements now that we can add to the report. If I just click add here, that will add it here to my snapshot report. I'll see that I've got the legacy map there included in this report. Now, this is where the brilliance and beauty of Reports Builder comes. Maybe I just want to have the legacy map. I don't need a snapshot of the overall risk number and the portfolio. I don't need that one pager. If I wanted to, I could just remove this page right here. And now this report is just going to be the legacy map. I've just simplified it down just to that one element there. Now they'll always have this title page and they'll always have this disclosure page there at the end. And if I just want to save this as an option going forward for other clients, I can come up here to where it says report template actions and I can save as a new report template. I can name that legacy report or legacy map report, and that will now be a template that I can choose for other clients as I start to work this into my workflow. And then quickly just clicking on generate a report, it will work up that PDF for me to where I can save that, I can download it, I can hand that off to my client, and I can see my legacy map here and what that report looks like, those individual accounts, those beneficiaries, who all that is going through. I'm scrolling through here pretty fast, but just want to get you a quick heads up of what that looks like and how you can present that or use that as a deliverable for your client there. And one thing that Stephanie and I always like to say is if you're just starting to use this, use yourself, maybe use a family member, use a friend, a trusted friend, or a colleague as a way to just start putting this in here and running through the paces, what it looks like to have that map build out, what it looks like to add those insurance policies, to add things to a trust there, to divvy out that between the beneficiaries, to create that legacy map there, that report, and print that out and see what that looks like. So get in there and start to play with it and start to use it as you're getting familiar with legacy centers. So as we're getting ready to wrap up here, Stephanie, anything that you would like to add in Legacy Center overall, maybe the reporting element, best tip practices before we start to go into our Q&A here as folks have questions that are coming through here?
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd add anything. Definitely just plus one. If you're not sure who you might start using this with, go in and kind of add your own information, build your own out, or build one out for a family member. So if you build one out for a family member or for yourself, you can have that sort of practice, get a little bit more familiar with it. But yeah, let's jump into some final comments and final slides and our Q&A, Chris.
Awesome. So as we're wrapping things up here, I just want to give you a quick heads up of, where does Center fit into your workflow right now? Again, having those maybe before we haven't had a way to introduce or walk into those client conversations where it's talking about legacy. Because let's be honest, it's kind of awkward. Like, well, let's talk about when you're dead and how all that works. Like, what's the approach? How do we walk into that conversation? Maybe you've thought about that. Maybe you have a way, or maybe you're thinking, like, how do I, again, approach this with my clients now and have a structured way, not only just have the conversation, but then how do we show off what that looks like to our clients? So maybe we haven't had a way to visualize that before and bring those beneficiaries into the conversation. Now we've got Legacy Center in the meeting. Like we saw, we have that legacy map where we can help them visualize everything, again, that they've been spending their lifetime building, how we can have that live on through our beneficiaries, again, whether it's an individual person, whether it's an organization right there. Legacy keys, that digital first interaction where now those beneficiaries have a branded, warm introduction from you, an easy way to reach back to you so that we are making that bridge, that connection from one generation to the next with legacy keys there as we're sending those email conversations out there. And then afterwards, those beneficiaries, they have your contact info. Like we said, feels like, hey, this is somebody that my parents or whoever I'm benefiting from, they trust this advisor. They have an idea. They know what this looks like, and they can help me now with all of this wealth that has now entered my lap. What the heck do I do with it? You're the trusted advisor, and you can help them visually picture what they can do and how you can help them moving on. So helps from that meeting, from before, during, and after those meetings, and continuing on those conversations. So as we're getting ready to wrap up here, we are glad to have you here. We're going to move into our questions. So if you haven't already, go ahead and put those questions in our Q&A box there. Our team's been monitoring those here and responding to some, and we've got some questions here that we want to queue up for you right now. So we're going to jump into our live Q&A, and we'll get that started right now.
All right, amazing. Yeah, so we'll get ready to jump into your questions. We've been getting some great questions during the session. Thank you guys for submitting all of those. And we will also go ahead and launch. Chris, if you want to pop up our survey, our closing survey for today, we
For
can get
sure.
that going so everybody has time. A closing poll survey. Same difference. But yeah, if you'll see that poll pop up on your screen, go ahead and give us your feedback. Let us know what you thought of today's session. So yeah, let's jump in, Chris, to some questions. You have one that we want to start out with.
Yeah, we'll start out with a question here. And yeah, thanks everybody for your feedback today. We've got Brittany here. She's one of our main product managers, so she's going to help us along here too. But a lot of that information is helping us get feedback that we can take to our product team. So, first question is, Stephanie, what email address does the legacy key come from. So we were talking about legacy key. What does that look like? That's the thing that goes to the beneficiaries. So we put in their email address. It's there. It's something that deserves to go into the keep file. There's Brittany. Brittany, thanks so much for joining us. And basically, where does that come from? Stephanie, did you? We were testing that, and we were making sure.
Yeah, I can take that one. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks to the person who submitted that question on where in the world does the legacy key even come from when the client sees it. If you choose the send email option from inside of Nitrogen, that comes from a generic Nitrogen Wealth email address. It's please do reply at nitrogenwealth.com. So you can certainly send that email, that legacy key email directly from inside of Nitrogen. What we see a lot of advisors do when they have those email options inside of Nitrogen, whether it's the legacy key or the risk questionnaire, things like that, they'll choose the share link if they want it to be a little bit more personal and if they want it to come from their own inbox. So if you prefer your emails to go out to your clients or prospects from, your personal firm email address, just choose the share link option if you utilize Legacy Center and sending the legacy key.
Awesome. Stephanie, thanks for that. Another question coming in here. So this doesn't cost any more if you're already running the risk score reports. So just talking about Legacy Center, where does it fall in the subscriptions? We mentioned if you have Nitrogen Complete, if you have the Nitrogen Complete subscription, Legacy Center is already included in it. You can already start using it. If you don't have our Nitrogen Complete subscription, we can definitely offer to demo that for you. If you click on the resources tab there inside of your Zoom window, we've got a link there where you could connect with our team and request a demo. So it would be an add-on in that instance. But if you do have Nitrogen Complete, it is there. Otherwise, it is an add-on for us here. Next question coming here. Stephanie, I see we've got this one marked for you. Actually, really great question. We get a lot of questions around integrations and how those work. So is there a way to sync with the actual accounts of the on the custodian's platform, for instance, sync the beneficiary info from LPL? So really great question. Like, how do we get that beneficiary information in there?
Yeah, absolutely. So if they're asking about portfolio information coming in from like a custodial platform, you absolutely could. You would use the integration like you would for syncing in any client portfolio. So you could add it into if it's like a family profile, a household profile, or whomever, or if it's an individual profile. You would just make sure that that client has been integrated into your Nitrogen account. You've pulled them in from, say, LPL or your custodial system. And then their accounts from LPL would be in the portfolio inside of their Nitrogen profile. And those portfolio accounts would then show up in the Legacy Center. So, yes, you can absolutely connect those custodial accounts into a client profile, and then those accounts would show up inside of Legacy Center.
Perfect. That is awesome. Brittany, anything else to add to that? I know one of the things of having a product manager here is not only are we in the here and now, but we get to see roadmappy type things of obviously it's not just a one and done with Legacy Center here. Obviously want to iterate on this. So any thoughts around that about getting beneficiary information into here? Are we making that a little bit easier than just sometimes I just got to type stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And thank you guys for being here today, Brittany Shivelhead, to jump in and give a little bit of product perspective. Like you said, we've looked at the legacy map. We have legacy key in the product now. I think some things that Chris can get excited about here, and hopefully everyone else in the room, exploring ways that estate document uploads could take place inside of the system, capturing important details in plain language. I'm thinking about auto-populating information from the CRM into Legacy Center, as well as those integration considerations. for those of you that have had the opportunity to leverage Nucleus within Nitrogen, taking the benefits of Nucleus into Legacy Center to help surface, missing information and guide next steps for advisors using Legacy Center. And one more thing that's kind of top of mind for me, I think, as we've been really getting into, more tax-related products, beneficiary tax strategy is also on the radar too, as we continue, going deeper into tax planning and, not just who receives the assets, but the tax impact for what that might be. So yeah, I think I would love for the feedback to keep coming, especially from the coaches and support. I'm keeping a close ear and eyes to all of the feedback that's coming through the various channels. So if there's anything that you want to see come next in the Legacy Center, or something that feels confusing, or something that you think is great, I would love to hear about it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, awesome. And even see stuff coming through the chat there. Yeah, sometimes I got to get a little bit more familiar with it, see what all is there. So again, as you're doing that, definitely let us know, coaching@nitrogenwealth.com. Even leave feedback here in the chat right now while we're here. We'd love to hear back from you. So Brittany, thank you for the extra bit of color on that as we're looking to expand on that. I got a question here. What does the link that is sent to the beneficiary look like when they click on it? And then when they click on that link and see the email, what does that look like? So I'm going to attempt here to share my screen and make sure I share the right thing. I don't want to just show something random here. So when they get it, and maybe both of you can let me know if you're seeing the right thing here. When that lands in there, hey, it's branded. We've got our logo there. Hi, we're here. This is just the sample account or firm name that we use here internally, Jameson Wealth Management. We have the privilege of working with your family. We wanted to introduce ourselves. Anyway, you guys can read. You can see what it says on there. Get in touch. Also save our contact, and then let me stop sharing here and then say, hey, what does it look like then when they click on get in touch there? Let me see if I can get to these are screenshots that we have here to show you guys. Again, here's what it looks like. Nick, our colleague, our teammate, was kind enough to grab these for us, so that's why it says Nick Harding there. Here's what the context, the text would say. Now, Brittany, again, we can customize this too. I could also edit this text. So this is just what we have, but if you wanted to edit it to say a little something a bit more custom, you can. And then there's that get in touch button right there where they can then reach out and contact you. So this is what it looks like when it goes out to them. When they click on that get in touch option right there, that's what it looks like on the beneficiary side. So great question. Glad we were able to show that off to you. And thanks to our friend and colleague Nick there for getting this through getting us those screenshots there. Next question. Brittany, anything else to add around that? Or Stephanie, any other commentary? I just don't want to steamroll right through here in case we have something that we want to bring up.
The only thing I would add on there, Chris, is that it is mobile friendly as well. So you have desktop and mobile views supported for Legacy Key.
Awesome. And as we were talking about earlier in the webinar today, really that next generation, really looking for those digital first interactions, those digital touches. And so again, that's one of the gaps that we're trying to close here to help you, again, reach out, make that bridge, make that connection, and then show the value of your advice. Stephanie, let me know. I'm going to send this one your way, but you feel free to tell me to kick rocks if this if it should come back somewhere else. I've been wondering, how do I bring this up with clients who've never mentioned their estate before? Where does that conversation start?
Yeah, that's a great question. One, I think you can take into account sort of how you approach um, your client relationships and assisting your clients. If they've never brought it up, doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't or couldn't. So like you're the financial master, you're the expert in the room. And a lot of times clients are looking for you to mention something or leaning on you to make recommendations and things like that. So I think that we've found internally that like 80+% of clients actually want to have this sort of legacy information. So you can bring it up as a conversation starter, maybe offering, if you haven't talked with clients about this before, hey, one of the areas we're expanding our services into is helping with estate planning. I have a great tool to help you visualize your legacy and how that would go to your beneficiaries. Do you want to take a few minutes to plan that out? Something like that. So you could kind of introduce it, see if they're interested, or maybe bring up, like, have you had estate planning conversations anywhere else? Have you thought about your estate planning? Things like that. It probably would never hurt to at least ask and be that person to initiate, because clients might not be sure what to ask or how to ask it. So yeah, definitely encourage folks to bring it up.
Brittany, anything else that you want to add there as you and your team have been working with this and seeing how we position it and how folks are using it and again, meant to start that conversation?
I do have something to add. So I think part of the roadmap planning, a piece of it that I missed here is considerations for also appending some type of assessment potentially that you could send out to your client, sort of like you would the risk questionnaire to engage them in the estate planning conversation as well. So I think that's actually not just a smart way to collect your client information, but also to engage them in those conversations and get the ball rolling there.
Awesome. Appreciate that extra bit of context there. Now, Brittany, something you said just a little bit ago perked up the ears of some of our viewers today. So, can we see how beneficiary tax strategy is built into Legacy Center? So, built past tense, I think it's going to be built if I heard you correctly there, right? Not there yet.
That is correct. Right now, it's in here, and very soon will be in the hands of my very talented design team, and we'll start mapping out what that looks like, and hopefully we'll have some things to show here soon.
Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Got another question here. Just as a reminder, yeah, I might have missed it here. What subscription does this live in? That's Nitrogen Complete, is what that lives in for folks that if it's already included in your subscription, otherwise it's an add-on. If you kind of want to talk about pricing, see what that looks like. I'm going to put a link in here in to just link to our website there, and you can set up a demo with our team, and you can go through that. They can walk you through it, talk all about pricing when it comes to Legacy Center there. But again, if you have Nitrogen Complete, it is already in the platform for you right now. Going to another question here. Let's see. Okay, I answered that one. Sorry, I went a little bit out of order here, gang. So let me get back to this one. Can I use Legacy Center with clients whose beneficiaries aren't on the platform at all? Like if it's a spouse that doesn't have a Nitrogen login. Stephanie, can I throw this one to you again or
Yeah, absolutely. The simple answer is yes. So whether it's like a spousal beneficiary or a child or kid or anything like that, you can absolutely use Legacy Center. That's where the legacy key comes into play. But you can use this with beneficiaries who aren't on the platform at all. You have that ability to send that email directly from within an existing client's profile. In Legacy Center, you can send out an email to introduce yourself to any beneficiaries where it would apply. So you can absolutely do that. And you also have the option, if you add a beneficiary, you reach out to them, you can create them as a client in Nitrogen too, if you needed to down the road. So they can live as a beneficiary in one profile, and you can also create them as a client down the road.
Fantastic. Well, we are at 15 minutes to the top of the hour here. So I'm looking at the questions. Look like we've got pretty much all of them. Hey, Brittany, just from a product standpoint, anything else that our viewers can help us out with, or anything else to let us know as we're thinking about Legacy Center, how Nitrogen is, we're trying to position it not as a wealth.com, not as an Encore estate, like that all fits in that bucket right there, but how we can help continue to position this in the process of Nitrogen and what we're hoping to do to help advisors show the value of their advice.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that these tools really empower all of you out there to drive those meaningful conversations with your clients and unlock discussions that may not have been easy to have in the past without these types of features here in front of you. the feedback is the number one thing. So, talk to your relationship managers, et cetera, and just keep pouring that feedback on what you'd like to see here. The product team here at Nitrogen pays very close attention to anything and everything that you all provide us. So excited to see that come through the pipeline and look forward to what we build on top of what we have here today in the future. Oh, one more.
Absolutely. Oh,
Oh, sorry,
let's
never
just
mind.
see. Want to make sure that we're not missing anything here. Yep, we've got a lot going on here. Sorry, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time, Stephanie. If you see what that chat is there.
It's totally good.
Um,
Yeah, we're just reminding everybody that to look for an email from us today with the replay, plus a link to get started. So yeah, if you have any questions, Chris dropped that link in chat as well. If you wanted to get a more comprehensive demo, you absolutely can do that online. And then if you mentioned in our poll, if you filled out those poll questions that we had up earlier, and you had any sort of lingering questions or wanted to see anything additional, we'll follow up with those folks afterwards as well. But yeah, Chris, I don't think we have any other questions or comments or
nope.
anything like that. So we should.
They read my mind there. That's actually what I was just getting ready to say. So apparently we all have been working together enough. Hey everybody, thanks so much. We know you have a lot of choices on how to spend your time today. Our next webinar coming up at the end of this month, we're going to be going over Nucleus and how to use Nucleus and start to work it into your workflow. Be Keep a heads up for the communications. For those of you, I know Nucleus is still getting approved. Our agentic AI is still getting approved across the board. But for those folks that are starting to use it or you're just curious about it and what it could do for you, keep an eye out for communications from us about our next webinar near the end of this month. I believe it's on the 28th or the 29th, but we'll send out more details on that for you. Brittany, Stephanie, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks,
for
everyone.